watching the Crypto Market Update with your host, Chris Marshall, your home for the latest crypto news, reviews, and updates that can be found around the block. If this is your first time here, then we would like to thank you for watching. If you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and share with anyone that you believe needs this type of content in their life. Just a reminder, anything discussed on this show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. With that out of the way, let's get on with the show.
Good morning and welcome to today's crypto market recap, where we take a look at the events that have happened throughout the week and take a look at what they did to the broader market. Today there's quite a few events that have happened throughout the course of this week, but we're actually going to be looking mostly at what's going on in Bitcoin 2022 conference down in Miami. It ends tomorrow, but already there's been quite a few great news and noteworthy stories to cover. So those are what we're going to look at. First, let's hear from our sponsor. It's on the wrong side today. OTEC. That should be over here. That's all right. OTEC is our sponsor today. Ocala's Blockchain, Crypto, and Technology Innovation Council. They meet up every single week. They are, for this month in April, meeting up in the Juniper General Store on the northwest side of Ocala. So if you are in Ocala and into tech or blockchain or crypto or anything like that, go check them out. You can find them on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Ocala Tech Council. There should be a link down below in the description. And with that, let's take a look at what the market is doing. So first, let's take a look at CoinMarketCap. Real quick, if you've been watching these videos for a little bit and you want to know what the different websites are, CoinMarketCap, they track pretty much all the major cryptocurrencies. They have to do a little bit to actually be able to get listed on this, so not anybody can just go and create any random coin and get it automatically listed on here. They have to actually do some certain steps to get listed. Still would not trust that all these coins, these cryptos, are good, but they are not just straight up copy pasted and immediately launched. They have to prove themselves a little bit. Beyond that, they also track exchanges. They track the market cap, which today we are back under the $2 trillion market cap, just underneath it at $1.989 trillion. Today's volume, we're sitting around $82 billion. Bitcoin's dominance at 41. ETH is at 19.6, closing in on that 20%. And gas is at 88 GWEI. GWEI. ETH gas is what you pay for transacting on the Ethereum blockchain. For those of you that do not know, let's take a look at some of the biggest coins today. Biggest gainers are three that mean nothing to me, so don't know what they are. Let's see what the top 100 look like today. Overall for the week, we had a pretty rough middle of the week when Bitcoin 2022, the conference down in Miami, started. As it started, the entire crypto market had a huge correction. We had seen some pretty massive falls. Overall, we're getting back up to break even for most coins, but overall still down. And some of them are pretty bad. There are a couple outliers. Near Protocol overall for today and the week up. I believe there was a couple other ones. Yeah, Convex up, doing pretty good this week. And whatever Mina is, I do not know what that coin is, but it snuck into the top 100, so I should probably look up what that coin is. Moonbeam, yep, they're up. And Anchor Protocol is up for the week. But for the most part, today's been pretty bad, and this week overall has been pretty bad as well. Let's take a look at the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Last week, we were in a pretty neutral territory in the 50. But over the last couple days and today, we are still in the fear, not too far deep into the fear territory, but definitely down there. So the overall fear, this is a crypto fear and greed index, and I use this one over at alternative.me, crypto fear and greed index. You can see the link up there on the top. That's just the first one that pops up on Google when you type in crypto fear and greed index. So this is what you're looking for here. Basically, what this tells us is what's the overall market sentiment toward crypto or Bitcoin. And usually when the entire market is super fearful, that indicates that we may be at a bottom and that it's a decent time to buy. And when it is super greedy, then the market is overbought and it might be a good time to sell because we might see a correction here soon. This is a indicator, so you can't just go off of where this is at. Usually we float around here in the center, but if it ever gets really low or really high, you might want to start thinking about what could the market be doing. So that's the crypto fear and greed index. Let's move on to some charts. I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin. We've been following a couple specific patterns. You'll notice today, if you've been watching for a while, that my banana pattern, as I was calling it in the previous episodes, is no longer on here. And basically what we had is we fell through it and it just wasn't lining up anymore. I could have sat there and played around with it, but I wasn't really expecting it too much. I primarily look at these parallel channels that I've been following for a long time. My channels are off. I must have moved them. That's all right. Take too much to put them back in place. There we go. Anyway, so we broke out of this major downward channel and we've been in up channel ever since. And this happened about beginning of February. And now we're watching this upward channel play out. It's pretty mild, so it may have is a break to the upside, but typically you'll notice that we'll go in an upward channel and then a downward channel, then an upward channel. And as you zoom out on time frames, you'll see different levels of these channels. So we've been in a massive upward channel for quite a while. And I'm sure if you zoomed out even farther, went to the weekly, you'd notice other channels as well. But these are the three that I've been watching. And after we broke out of this latest downward channel within this overall upward channel, I'm watching to see how we react. So I'm watching right now for a fall originally to this center line. This dotted center line usually will act as a spot of resistance and support for whichever side it is on. So I'm waiting to see if we fall below it. If we do, we're likely to see at least a fall to this bottom line. You know, that could be anywhere between 40,000 and as of today, 38.9. Probably won't happen though. We'll probably hit some nice resistance off this. A lot of people think 42 is a good resistance line, and I can agree. This is some quick TA, technical analysis for y'all. These two spots here, where it comes up and meets this 42 line. Let's do a blue as temporary line. As it comes down and hits off of these previous highs where we had gotten some resistance before, this can act as a natural line of support. So as it comes down and touches, we may be able to hold this 42 to 43,000 line and come back up and recover some more. Beyond that, let's take a look at Ethereum. I've been watching a specific pattern play out. I've had my eyes on something in Ethereum. We have been following the same path that Bitcoin has followed, but we're about a month and a half behind it. So we had Bitcoin in early February breakout and start this upward channel. We did not break out of our downward channel on Ethereum until halfway through March, about a month and a half later. So we were looking for a certain range and movement up, and then eventually a range and movement down. So we plotted this out, we broke up, predicted we'd see somewhere around this 33 to 3600 range. We came up, we hit our head off this 200-day moving average, fell back down below, which this was completely within my realm of expectations. And my plan was to short the market down to first this 32,000 line and then eventually to this 3,000 line. We got the 3,200 line, got that and exited the trade when we saw it break it back above this red line. And now what we notice is we still could not break out of this upward channel, just like we did in Bitcoin about a month and a half ago. And now we're on the decline. So what I'm looking at is probably a decline to at least 3,030, 3,050, somewhere around in there. Those are kind of my price targets. And then from there, we may see some recovery. We may see it do something else. But again, I'm following this Bitcoin chart. And if that happens, we're going to come back down to the bottom of the parallel channel, which would take us all the way back down to here. So overall revenue here. So that's a little bit of charting for you. A little bit about what I'm looking at. Again, this isn't financial advice. I don't recommend anyone do anything. I personally will be looking to probably enter in if we hit the bottom of this channel here. But other than that, I'm just holding what I got. I might do a little bit of day trading, a little bit of shorting the market, or doing a quick little swing trade with some extra money. I got like a $500 KuCoin account that is kind of just like a play day trading account for me. But other than that, I don't do much of the day trading. Just buy and hold it all day long. Or whenever the dip is deep enough, buy it. With that, let's move on to some of the stories for today. So first, a couple stories that do not have to do with the Bitcoin 2022 conference. First up, oh yeah, Yellen's back at it, talking about crypto regulation. I get a real mixed vibe from this article and from her speech overall when she was talking about it. On some points, it sounds, I like what she's saying, but on the other parts, I don't fully agree with it. There's a couple parts that I want to bring up within this. Part of her argument in here is that it's the regulation should be based on risk. We should be regulating based on risk, not on tech, which is good. That should be correct. You know, I'm against regulations for the most part on it. Let the market decide what it wants to do. When governments start regulating stuff, that's usually doesn't lead to a great outcome, but whatever. It's their world, we gotta live in it. So, there's a point down here, let me find it. And I'm going to come back to this here in a minute, but as a practical matter, you'd have a hard time, this is a quote from her, you'd have a hard time using cryptocurrency to buy a sandwich or a gallon of milk, she said. Noting, however, that stablecoins or potential central bank digital currencies could succeed at being more widely used as a means of exchange, raising potential benefits and risk. And this was just on the 5th, so 3 days ago, right before Bitcoin 2022. So we're going to come back to this statement here in just a minute after we look at something that happened within Bitcoin 2022. First, before we get to those stories, Robinhood, long-awaited Robinhood, opens up their crypto wallet service to 2 million more users. So back in February, I believe, they opened it up to the first beta test users, or alpha test users, if you want to call it that. And since then, they have opened it up further, allowing people to actually take that crypto that they had bought and use it in a non-custodial wallet, which is great. Actually be able to have control over your crypto is what crypto is all about. Right now, centralized agencies like Robinhood is, banks, all that stuff, those are all centralized agencies. They control the fiat money. They control the US dollar. One of the great draws of cryptocurrency is its decentralization. There is no one thing that's controlling that crypto, and no one can stop you from using it. We can see everything that's playing out in the Ukraine and Russia. What if the US decides that you're a terrorist or I'm a terrorist? They can shut off access to our bank accounts. They can make it to where we cannot use our money to buy goods or services. And so that's one of the things that crypto solves. One of the problems that crypto solves is relying on those centralized agencies to instill that trust in our economy so that we can go out and freely exchange those goods and services for a fair value. And that's what they were intended to do, but now they have the power to be able to go ahead and cripple our way of life if they don't agree with what we want, essentially. Just like they're doing with Ukraine, with Russia particularly. So yeah, so that's interesting. Don't really think it'll do a whole lot. I think their Robinhood's price is actually down. Let's take a look. Let's see how Robinhood is doing a couple days after this announcement for the week. Yeah, they're still down for the week, so I don't think that news really had a whole lot of effect on them, but whatever, good for them. Wow, that is really down. Wow. All right. I don't look too much into stocks. So next up, we got our first news. Now, I would recommend you go and actually listen to both of these the speeches that I'm about to show you. This first one from Peter Thiel was pretty funny, but I like what he had to say, and I want to share this first part with you guys. So let's listen in on this.
So, enemy number one. I think he's sort of. I think the sort of the sociopathic grandpa from Omaha is perhaps the most honest and.
Now, that's one of the biggest headlines coming out of this convention for Bitcoin, coming out of Miami this week, was specifically that phrase. But he had some other good parts in his speech, and he was talking about where he thought the price of Bitcoin could go. And so I wanted to share some of this. First off, he showed what he talked about value to velocity, too far, about how a payment processor is kind of like the velocity, the speed at which payments can be transacted upon. Gold would be the store of value. And then fiat currency is somewhere in the middle where it's not particularly great at being a store of value and it's not particularly great at being a velocity of exchange. And so he brought up Ethereum and Bitcoin. Ethereum is your velocity. They are going to be the thing that replaces systems like MasterCard and all that stuff. And then Bitcoin is the store of value, just like gold. So he goes on to show, let's skip ahead to this part here. Not that part, even though that was funny. I thought there was another one. Here it is. Yeah, so the ETH to beat Bitcoin dominance. So Ethereum is at like $386 billion market cap, and Bitcoin is at an $831 billion market cap, which is fine and good. It's roughly, it's a little less than half of the market cap, almost 20 to 40 roughly. So Ethereum is almost half of Bitcoin. And then you go to gold to Visa. Visa, this is where you get people stating that Bitcoin should be worth $1 million or whatever, or roughly 10 times more. So if we go back to this earlier slide here, show Bitcoin's at 831 billion. And Ethereum is at 386 billion. So remember those numbers if we go to here. Visa's market cap is at 460 billion. So they're both pretty close. Visa and Ethereum are pretty close together, but there's a large disparity between Bitcoin and gold if you look at these two things. So basically what he's saying is that we should be able to almost 12x or a little over 12x Bitcoin value, and so that's not a perfect number. So he goes on to show a couple other charts, which I find is great. But if we just look at what that would do if it became a similar situation. Gosh, let's just say 45,000 for simplicity times 12. So that would put each Bitcoin worth $540,000, roughly a 12x gain from where we're currently at. Okay, so that's just this first example. And so he goes on to state that the Bitcoin to gold ratio is here, right? So Bitcoin should be the value of gold. If Ethereum is equal to Visa and other payment processing stuff, I think that's not just Visa, it's all the different types of payment transaction systems currently going on in the world. Bitcoin should be equal to gold. There should be a equal size disparity between those two different things. He goes on to show us the 1970s and what the price of gold did, and talking about how we're experiencing a 1970s similar ecosystem and environment when it comes to terms of inflation and similar economic variables like that, which caused gold to rally against equities and the S&P 500. So he also talks about gold versus equities here. So gold is in the 1980s was roughly equal to global equities. In 2022, gold is a tenth the size of global equities. So he's stating that if Bitcoin is the future, that we may not even see Bitcoin or Bitcoin may not necessarily be equal to gold. It should be equal to the global equities market in today, which would be 115, which would be another 10 times that $540,000. So kind of stating it without stating it throughout the course of this entire presentation, he talks about why is Bitcoin not roughly $5.4 million is what I got out of it. He's one of the ones that states that Bitcoin could be worth $1 million. I think there's definitely an argument within there to suggest that it's definitely very interesting. I'm probably not the best global economist to kind of put my seal of approval on that or not, but I definitely find it very interesting. I do believe that Bitcoin is going to go up over the long term. Will we see $20,000 again in the next 6 months? Maybe. Will we see $1 million in the next 6 months? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, but I definitely like his description on this whole thing. So I definitely recommend you go through and listen to this entire presentation. One, it's very humorous, and two, lots of knowledge dropped. So I definitely like this. Let's move on to the second major announcement that came out through this. And there's a couple parts in here. So again, I recommend you go through, listen to this entire video, but I wanted to share at least this part here with you. So this is Strike CEO Jack Mallers.
Because we just got to give merchants the new superior alternative payment network. And so this year, have you guys ever shopped at any of these? Any of these?
I'll just pause this real fast. Just take a minute and read through that list if you need to. Some big retailers there. All right.
Yeah. McDonald's, Walmart, Macy's, Best Buy. I mean, no, this is not in another country. This is not a test pilot somewhere. No, this is in the United States of America. You're going to be able to walk in to a grocery store, to Whole Foods, to Chipotle. You want to use a Lightning Node over Tor? You do that. You want to use the Cash App? You do that.
Basically, what he announced is that through Strike and some of the tools that they've been able to build out, not only are they partnering with Shopify store owners, they have a Shopify app now to allow store owners to go out and accept Bitcoin payments as the settlement for their account, and it automatically switches that Bitcoin to US dollars before it hits the Shopify store owner's account, so that they don't have to worry about filing taxes or anything like that or dealing with the actual cryptocurrency. But I can still pay directly with my cryptocurrency. I don't have to worry about transacting or doing an extra transaction within my own wallet, converting crypto into usable fiat, and then selling that to, or giving that to the store. I don't have to worry about that transaction. They are now able to take my crypto on their side, turn it into stable coins, and then turn it into dollars and give those dollars directly to the business. So very interesting stuff. Between NCR and Blackhawk Network, they're going to be in a lot of places. A lot of stores are now going to be able to accept Bitcoin as a payment. So that's where I brought up this. We would be back to this. So her whole statement within here, as a practical matter, you'd have a hard time using cryptocurrency to buy a sandwich or a gallon of milk. This is supposedly implemented later this year. I don't think they have a firm deadline on it, but they're accepting it this year, and it's going to be super easy. Basically, what happens is the POS at the store, at the checkout, your Walgreens or whatever, or what was the list? Your Walmart. They're going to pop up a option to pay with crypto. They're going to propagate a QR code on their POS, and you're going to be able to scan that and send that amount of money that amount of Satoshis directly to that checkout. And you can make it they made it even easier, where now they have incorporated the use of, where is it? Trying to use their pictures. Whatever. Back to that one. They're incorporating the scanners so that you don't have to worry about trying to figure anything out. Once you're ready to submit your payment on your wallet, boop, you scan it, it's good to go. And there's a couple different apps that it works on. I don't think it works with every single wallet right now. I believe it's they have 3 or 4 wallets. Cash App is definitely one of them. So I mean, that's a major app, but very interesting stuff. Definitely making a headway on getting this broader adoption for crypto payments, and it's definitely a good solid start. And the major thing, I have 2 more articles here, or 2 more pieces of information here. BlackRock owns a large share of NCR. They also, there's so much stuff that BlackRock owns. They have a buy-in with all of the government. If you don't think they do, they do. They own, they're probably going to get the first Bitcoin ETF, spot ETF. Just so much stuff. They have every single corner of the market covered now with this coming out. So they are definitely poising for something big here between BlackRock and cryptocurrency in general. So very interesting stuff playing out right now from Bitcoin 2022. If you watched this video, you'll notice that the crowd was pretty quiet. And I think that's mostly to do with they were expecting a couple other things to happen in the conference. They were expecting Apple to come out with their payment integration. They were expecting other countries to come out and adopt cryptocurrency, bunch of other stuff. And then I don't think they also caught the full grasp of what this meant as well. Obviously, it meant, yes, broader market adoption, but I don't think they realized stuff like this and how important this is going to play a part over the next probably 6 months to a year. I mean, we're already on month 4 of this year. We got, 8 more months? So the next 8 months, by the end of this year, I think there's a the crypto environment is going to look pretty different. And I'm pretty excited to be covering the events surrounding it. So that is it for today. Oops. That is it for today. If you liked this video, please remember to hit that subscribe button, like it, share it with a friend. Drop me a comment if there's anything specific you want to learn about within crypto or blockchain. If you're in Ocala, that OTech Council is about to put out a educational course. There's lots of stuff going on in Ocala for learning crypto and blockchain. Feel free to reach out to me directly. People over at the power plant downtown can get you in contact with me. Other than that, it's been fun, y'all. Have a great weekend. See you around.